A radiant winged goddess stood above the world as women's rule was declared absolute. In the Great War long ago, men were crushed under divine judgment and stripped of pride. With the goddess's blessing, women endured alone while men were left broken and without purpose. Centuries passed and men faded into a useless, endangered existence. In that age, one harsh command cut through the silence. A chained young man was mocked by women who saw him as nothing more than a burden. He shrank beneath their cruelty, apologizing as fear and humiliation closed in. Then his eyes snapped open as something inside him refused to break. Even in chains and on the floor, his gaze lifted upward in reckless desperation. He called himself Libido, a man cornered by a world that denied his existence. While men lived as servants beneath women blessed by the goddess, he turned away from despair. With a foot pressing him down, his twisted resolve burned hotter instead of fading. He fixated on the women before him, not with grace but with raw, unstable obsession. His stare lingered without shame as his impulses drowned out reason. The women flaunted their confidence, certain any man would be helpless before them. Grinning through the chains, he swore himself to a future driven by desire alone. He vowed to train, survive, and someday stand before women on his own terms. In his mind, that dream flared into a wild vision of casting off his innocence. The vision shattered when a towering beast emerged inside the dungeon. Panic spread among the women as the monster closed in and escape seemed impossible. One woman yanked his chain and hurled him forward while she retreated to safety. Smiling without remorse, she coldly offered him up as the decoy. From behind, he watched them choose survival over his life and felt the betrayal land. He reached out in disbelief as they abandoned him to the charging beast. The Minotaur tore through the chamber, making him the center of its rampage. As his body gave out and darkness closed in, death became real at last. The shattered wall in his broken body proved how powerless an unblessed man truly was. Barely conscious, he admitted he had struggled hard, but it still was not enough. Bloodied and shaking, he saw the women watching as his hope began to collapse. He screamed against that fate, refusing to accept that this was all his life meant. Dragging himself forward with fading strength, he cursed how little he had truly done. Rage surged through the pain as he demanded more from himself before the end. Surrounded by regret and ruin, his bitterness toward the world began to answer back. With blood on his face and fire in his eyes, he roared that he would not die there. From the void came one final hope, drawn by his desperate cry. A luminous feminine figure descended before him, freezing him in stunned silence. The glowing presence reached out gently while he stared, unable to grasp what he was seeing. Its plea carried a single impossible mission: restore men's dignity. Wrapped in fierce resolve, he rose with a vow to change the world. A dark smile spread across his face as that impossible resolve finally took hold. The women relaxed in safety and dismissed the sacrificed man as forgettable. One of them smirked and reduced his near death to a useful inconvenience. A dark figure stepped forward alive, calm, and far too confident for a dead man. Shock rippled through the room as he appeared beside them with a chilling grin. He coldly condemned their betrayal and reminded them that guild treachery had consequences. The women instantly turned hostile and decided silence would erase their crime. Weapons and magic surged at once as they tried to crush him before the truth spread. The chamber erupted with violent impact, swallowing both sides in smoke and chaos. As the dust settled, the women mocked him again and assumed luck had saved him. He stood unharmed at the center, rolling his neck as their confidence faltered. With dead eyes and a faint smile, he warned them that no one could kill him now. One woman lunged recklessly, certain he was getting carried away. She slammed into him and instantly realized her attack had done nothing. He raised a corrupted hand and claimed the next move for himself. Alarm spread through the group as they finally chose retreat over pride. A mass of writhing forms burst out at his command and flooded the room. The spreading growth rushed after the fleeing women and closed the distance in seconds. One of them was seized midair, pinned and trapped by the monstrous swarm. Her panic gave way to helpless shock as the trap tightened around her. He lifted the grotesque mass with one hand and mocked the arrogance she had worn earlier. Another woman lashed out in fury and demanded he release their leader. He answered with icy calm, treating their panic like a minor annoyance. The monstrous forms kept advancing as he casually declared he would handle them all himself. His threat grew into total domination as he vowed to crush the entire group at once. The captured woman hung in humiliation, her defiance collapsing into shaken disbelief. He leaned in with a savage grin, reveling in the reversal of power. The three women were lifted and restrained together as he stood below like a conductor of nightmares. He burst into manic laughter, drunk on revenge and control. Reaching out with trembling excitement, he declared that his moment had finally arrived. His face twisted into a fanatic's smile as he proclaimed the rise of men. While holding one captive aloft, he called on every unseen man to witness what came next. Behind him, monstrous silhouettes gathered like an army answering his madness. With wild conviction, he swore that men still had a place in this world. Elsewhere in a guild hall, adventurers whispered about a new monster targeting women. A witness revealed that only the party with a man had returned alive. A new listener stepped in sharply, demanding every detail as the room froze. The speaker turned to find a holy knight standing over her with stern authority. Rumors spread fast among adventurers, carrying a scream from the dungeon into the city. The tale painted a scene of terror deep underground where pleas for mercy echoed out. In the darkness, a monstrous figure was said to appear surrounded by writhing captives. A dark-haired man stands with a vicious grin as writhing creatures coil around him, while a stern armored woman looms behind him in cold focus. Inside the guild, the battered party draws attention as a sharp voice calls out their hesitation. The blonde leader folds her arms and looks down on the man, reducing him to dead weight before the others. In a blunt close-up, her contempt hardens into open hatred toward men. The women close in around him, treating his suffering like a joke as punishment is casually declared. As they walk away together, they talk about replacing him like disposable cargo and laugh off his work. A sudden reprimand cuts the mood short, forcing an instant apology from the shaken group. The blonde drops to the floor in submission while the others bow behind her, claiming the guild ordered them to keep up appearances. Sweat pours down as she begs for mercy while he turns away and lets the fear build. From the shadows, his stare sharpens as forgiveness turns into a threat. In an instant, the three women find themselves surrounded as living masses surge up from every side. He spreads his hand with a warped smile, framing their collapse as the first step toward domination. The scene cuts back outside as the frightened blonde tries to steady herself and return to the guild. A tall woman steps into their path, and the entire party freezes at her sudden arrival. The newcomer stands firm in polished armor, immediately pressing them about the new monster. The blonde falters, wary and uncertain as she studies the stranger. The woman introduces herself as Richelle, a guild investigator sent to subdue the rumored threat. Recognition hits the group at once as they realize an elite holy knight stands before them. A narrowed eye and solemn profile give weight to Richelle's fearsome reputation. She stands at the center of a shadowed lineup, presented as one of the highest-ranked adventurers in the world. The man watches in silence, surprised to find someone of that level here. His gaze drops for a moment, thrown off by her overwhelming presence. Richelle senses the slight at once, her face darkening as he smirks behind her. Without wasting time, she questions the women about the monster, then demands to know why a man is with them. The blonde hurriedly clings to the man and plays him off as nothing more than a servant. Richelle half accepts it, but the memory of his unsettling stare leaves her deeply suspicious. The blonde panics beside him, insisting there is no way he could be the monster. Richelle grips her weapon and coldly declares that a man targeting women should be impossible. The man stands expressionless while the women around him echo the same hatred with casual cruelty. Richelle's face falls into shadow as she brands him lower than any beast. She turns away with contempt, and his irritated glare follows her from behind. The blonde suddenly steps in close to him, her urgent expression showing she has something important to say. Richelle pauses as the women gather behind her, the blonde now smiling with nervous eagerness. With bright politeness, the blonde offers to guide Richelle directly to the site of the encounter. From the darkness, the man quietly orders the blonde to keep him out of sight and avoid souring the knight's mood. As the group heads ahead, he lingers behind with a predatory grin and decides to test the holy knight himself. They arrive at a massive hole in the stone floor, and the women confirm the monster appeared there. Richelle stands at the edge and studies the abyss, judging it as the work of a powerful large monster. Her sharp eyes narrow as she demands every detail of what happened. Before she can continue, the blonde suddenly lunges at Richelle from behind, shattering the tension in an instant. Richelle suddenly drops through the broken floor as a taunting command sends her into the abyss. A hand brushes her face mid-fall, turning the ambush into a moment of humiliating control. She realizes too late that she was caught off guard and braces for the impact below. Instead of crashing, she finds herself caught in the man's arms as he greets her with smug ease. Shock flashes across her face as she recognizes him at once. She tears free from his grasp and lands hard, furious at being handled by him. He faces her calmly and mocks her hostility after saving her from the fall. Richelle glares back and demands to know why he is here. With monsters swelling around him, he claims the underground as his domain. The pieces click together for Richelle as the memory of his stare becomes proof. He answers her accusation with a fearless grin and admits nothing with chilling confidence. Richelle raises her blade and resolves to end him on the spot. He refuses to yield and declares that she will be the one brought down instead. She lunges without hesitation, rejecting the idea of ever bowing to a man. Even as he praises her rank, he studies her with growing caution. Richelle stands poised through the dust, clearly operating far beyond ordinary adventurers. A cold smile forms as she looks down on both his creatures and his very existence with disgust. Her contempt cuts deep, framing him and his power as equally vile. He grits his teeth as her relentless pressure forces him backward despite his strength. Richelle presses forward without pause, searching for the smallest opening to finish him. The instant his creature touches her armor, a disturbing vision floods his mind. Richelle recoils in outrage, ordering the filth away while he falls silent in surprise. One of the creatures quivers on the floor as he fixates on what he just saw. A twisted grin spreads across his face as he begins to understand how to use this new power. Dark energy gathers around him while he declares that the one losing control is not him. His body distorts into a hulking beast, turning the chamber into a nightmare. Richelle stiffens, shaken by the monstrous transformation now towering before her. An explanation reveals his skill can mimic the form and traits of anything he reads. The touch against Richelle's armor becomes the trigger for a newly awakened ability. That power is revealed as the ability to read the hidden information of whatever he touches. The knowledge cuts deeper than surface facts, exposing buried emotions and hidden desire. Richelle faces the beast head-on and scoffs at the idea that this grotesque form could reveal any weakness. She charges again, insisting that changing shape alone will never bring her down. Her blade strikes first, but the transformed monster meets her attack with brutal force. He senses the shift immediately and notes that her assault has lost its weight. As their weapons clash, she desperately orders him not to underestimate her. Panic creeps in as she realizes her sword is no longer having any effect against this form. He corners her with predatory certainty and claims he now knows everything about her. The towering beast looms behind as her body is pinned high, her confidence finally cracking. Richelle stares in stunned disbelief, trapped between fear and the unbearable truth that he has seen through her completely. He reveals that Richelle is not merely a knight, but an elite hunter of massive monsters. He presses harder, implying the holy image she protects is only a mask. A cruel accusation cuts deep, casting her as someone drawn to savage destruction. Richelle protests through clenched anger, but he twists her resistance into proof. Her flustered denial only deepens the humiliation as he coldly reads her reactions. Shame crashes over her, and the thought of being broken by a monster becomes unbearable. Her face burns as she tries to deny the feelings he claims to see. Pinned to the floor, she trembles while he mocks the sounds she can no longer suppress. He offers her a way out with a sneer, and she still refuses to yield. Her stunned expression freezes as he calmly says she can leave at any time, knowing she cannot win. His gaze lowers, implying that her real purpose was never the investigation at all. Looming over her, the beast smugly asks whether she still wants to keep pretending. Panic grips her as she considers fleeing, yet fears the disgrace that would bring. He corners her with a vile threat, turning the standoff into pure terror. A taunting remark lands as he openly ridicules the state she has been driven into. Richelle cuts him off at once, desperate to stop the spiral before it worsens. He whispers that only he can satisfy what she supposedly hides, tightening the psychological trap. A blunt demand for honesty leaves her frozen, exposed by his relentless pressure. Broken and trembling, she finally begs in a voice that barely sounds like her own. The plea deepens, carrying the weight of complete collapse. Her face loosens into a dazed, shattered smile as she falls fully into his cruel script. Elsewhere, the black-haired man smirks with satisfaction, as if the harvest has finally come. A peaceful prayer rises through the church, sharply contrasting the darkness below. Before a sacred statue, a blessing is offered for fortune and protection. In the grand sanctuary, the prayer ends beneath stained light and solemn silence. A quiet voice praises Mare after the service, drawing the holy maiden from her thoughts. A nun delivers a grim revelation, warning that evil is taking root in the world. The warning continues with urgency, calling for action before darkness swallows the good. Mare answers with bright resolve, declaring that prayer will be her weapon. Outside, Richelle walks with the black-haired attendant as townspeople gossip around them. The crowd mocks the pairing, belittling him while praising Richelle's hunt. He hides his malice behind a smile, inwardly savoring how admired Richelle is. His hand closes over her from behind, turning public praise into private humiliation. The busy guild entrance comes into view, and the crowd noise swells ahead. Excitement erupts as Mare appears, instantly becoming the center of attention. Mare calmly states that a threat disturbing the peace must be seen and judged directly. Richelle confirms she knows her, while the man beside her watches with sharp interest. The crowd reveres Mare as the goddess's voice, a symbol of peace and guidance. Mare approaches with grace and warmly greets Richelle in the street. With gentle curiosity, Mare notes Richelle's unusual companion, and Richelle explains he is assisting the investigation. Mare responds lightly, revealing she came for the same reason. Her gaze hardens as she warns that the crisis threatens far more than one town. She calmly says she will remain at the local church and offers her aid whenever needed. With serene confidence, Mare tells the pair to continue their investigation as she walks away. The quiet rooftop view signals a brief calm before something darker begins. The black-haired man suddenly closes in on Rachel, testing her with invasive, calculated pressure. A chilling command seems to rise in his mind, turning his focus toward hatred and divine intent. His eyes settle on Mare as he suspects she may be the key to proving his theory. Behind him, Rachel clings in a dazed collapse, reduced to desperate dependence and humiliation. Her unsteady expression shows that shame and desperation are swallowing what remains of her pride. Nearby footsteps and bitter envy suggest others resent how much attention Rachel received. Several women appear flushed and restless, revealing a wider atmosphere of unhealthy obsession. He smiles to himself, clearly amused by the chaos gathering around him. With a sudden motion, he turns away and leaves the stunned room behind. A shaken voice calls after him, confused by his abrupt departure. He answers with a sly grin, declaring that he is going to meet the Holy Maiden. As Mare prays beneath the church tower, his intent narrows into open pursuit. The church door opens, and the silent intrusion breaks the sacred stillness. Inside the sanctuary, the two face each other across a vast and tense distance. He praises her perception, while she calmly says that an ominous presence radiates from him. Framed by his looming silhouette, Mare asks what he wants and whether he seeks repentance. She smiles warmly and presents the church as a place where all may seek salvation. He leans in with a dark grin, impressed by her composure but clearly preparing a test. In an instant, he reveals monstrous force and asks whether her compassion still extends to a true threat. Mare's eye widens in shock as the danger becomes undeniable. Hands clasped in prayer, she accepts the truth and resolves to act without hesitation. She invokes the Lord's guidance and declares that she will purify him. He lunges forward with reckless confidence, eager to crush her resistance. His attack tears through the church air as he claims dominion over her fate. The strike meets sudden resistance, stopping short against an unseen wall of force. He recoils in surprise as heat and pressure reveal a barrier around her. A monstrous form surges in, trying to break through the defense by brute force alone. The effort only scorches and hurls him back, leaving the assault stalled. He realizes this is no ordinary shield, and that raw power means nothing against it. Mare stands at the heart of a radiant barrier, wrapped in holy force that blocks and destroys all obstacles. Bathed in light, she declares that evil cannot lay even a finger on her. Sweat forms on his face as he recognizes the terrifying power of her unique gift. Mare's calm blessing lands like a verdict, serene and absolute. Surrounded by swirling radiance, she reveals the name of her power and its divine origin. She explains that the barrier rejects anything she perceives as an obstacle, turning her prayer into overwhelming defense. Wrapped in blinding radiance, Mare gathers a merciless holy attack meant to erase its target. With a serene smile, she prays for the destruction of anything blocking her path. The beam surges forward and he stares in shock as the sacred force tears toward him. The strike rips into his monstrous limbs, blasting them apart in a violent burst of pain. He drops low, furious as the agony throws his control into chaos. A sharp stare reveals his desperate search for a flaw in her defense. Mare calmly warns that surrender is wiser, her barrier rendering direct attacks meaningless. He grins through the pressure, treating the clash like a game despite the danger closing in. Cross-shaped light hammers down around Mare as she coldly denies any mercy to evil. He barrels through the barrage, battered again and again by holy force. Mare's eyes widen when she senses something shifting in the middle of the assault. He freezes in disbelief as the wound and pain vanish in an instant. Realization strikes, and he rushes to test whether her power only reacts to the monster form. He launches upward at reckless speed, charging straight for her through the storm of light. In a sudden twist, he slips past the barrier and appears nearly on top of her. Mare jolts in alarm as he closes in, proving he found a path her defense did not reject. He flashes a cruel grin, certain her kindness will make her hesitate against a human shape. A transformed limb rises before Mare's stunned face, revealing the trap he prepared. She recoils in surprise as the corrupted extension lingers within arm's reach. Hidden behind his human disguise, he presses harder and orders her to back away. He smirks with manic triumph, convinced he has uncovered her weakness at last. Mare answers with puzzled calm, refusing to accept his twisted conclusion. From beyond the glowing shield, he boasts that he remains untouched and therefore proven right. Mare folds her hands and quietly admits her power was never meant to harm people. Surrounded by holy symbols and lightning, she declares that even in human form he is still evil. Her gaze hardens, and she abandons mercy without a trace of hesitation. He welcomes the change with a grin, eager to stop holding back as well. The church erupts as he unleashes brute force, tearing through the sanctuary in a storm of ruin. Mare's focus breaks when she realizes the holy church itself is being destroyed. A panicked civilian appears in the chaos, caught in the collapsing danger. Mare urgently orders him to release the victim, warning that people were told to avoid the church. She calls the frightened woman to hurry inside the barrier before the destruction reaches her. The rescued woman rushes in behind Mare, relieved as the holy shield encloses them both. Mare gently tells her to stay close, keeping her calm inside the protective light. He suddenly appears at Mare's shoulder, smiling as he exploits the kindness she cannot abandon. Mare jolts in disbelief, realizing too late that her rescue gave him the opening he wanted. With a predatory smile, he pins her in place and mocks the compassion that makes her vulnerable. He presses the mental attack, noting the transformed limbs and questioning whether her prayers weaken on contact with corruption. A darker realization follows as he claims he has now seen everything she tries to hide. His cold stare lands like a verdict, exposing the hidden weakness and buried feelings he believes he has uncovered. Shadowy figures crowd around Mare as a dark revelation begins to take shape. Mare startles and blushes as the accusation turns painfully personal. She tries to resist, but her composure cracks under the sudden pressure. The dark force dismisses salvation as something already cast aside. A looming figure advances, while Mare stares ahead in alarm at the threat closing in. The taunt turns to humiliation, twisting her thoughts into a weapon against her. The attack strikes at her identity, trying to drag hidden shame into the open. Overwhelmed and flushed, she reaches out in desperate surrender to the one she serves. A sinister hand extends from the altar, inviting dependence with chilling confidence. Outside, the church stands serene as worshippers place complete trust in their holy protector. A quiet smile masks the start of a dangerous memory inside the sanctuary. He sits above the altar like a ruler, making clear that service to him is now absolute. A trembling step signals obedience rather than resistance. Sacred guidance is recast as control, cloaked in ritual and authority. The church exterior returns, calm on the surface while corruption spreads within. A nun reports a man's wicked gaze, and the complaint reveals how fear is being manipulated. Another woman turns to Mare for judgment, pushing her to act against a supposed sinner. He appears enthroned behind a smiling devotee as warped doctrine twists devotion into obedience. His cold eyes narrow, revealing the predator behind the holy facade. A frightened woman is dragged through the air as false comfort promises she will soon be seized too. Mare's face hardens with eerie calm as she echoes the call to surrender herself to the Lord. A scream tears through the church grounds, shattering the illusion of peace. In a hazy memory, he praises Mare's efforts while drawing her near with possessive ease. Flushed and uncertain, she clings to the hope that she has been useful to him. The church is revealed as a strategic stronghold, built to amplify prayer and power. He smiles with quiet satisfaction and promises a reward for her loyalty. Another woman appears, and his amused stare turns the room tense with rivalry. Mare notices the newcomer and reacts with embarrassed unease. Richelle tries to stay polite, but her warning only stirs sharper tension. Mare leans in with a teasing smile, exposing jealousy Richelle can barely hide. He stands between them in cold silence while their petty clash unfolds around him. Mare presses closer, smugly challenging Richelle's place with open provocation. His patience snaps and the atmosphere turns deadly in an instant. Monstrous limbs lash out as he crushes both of them with a furious demand for respect. Mare freezes in horror, instantly ashamed of how far she has overstepped. Richelle breaks down next, apologizing in panic as fear takes hold. A harsh grip closes tight, and his approval lands like a threat instead of forgiveness. The next image turns eerily domestic as both women lie beside him under the same covers. He stares ahead in blunt disbelief, reflecting on how extreme their fixation on him has become. The thought lingers on his face as he wonders whether divine suppression warped them into this state. He leans in beneath the covers and asks a quiet question that puts Mare on the spot. A teasing smile spreads across her face as the talk shifts to the goddess's blessing. Flushed and shaken, she frames it as the Lord's will and clings to that answer. The roles of Holy Maiden and Holy Knight are described like sacred duties shaped by his power. Red-faced and overwhelmed, she convinces herself that his influence has somehow set her free. His grin sharpens as her reply confirms exactly what he wanted to hear. Another devoted gaze drops in embarrassment as she repeats obedience like it is fake. He throws his head back in wild laughter, reveling in the distortion he has made. Mare freezes in confusion as another woman blurts out the dreadful truth behind his fixation. He laughs at being hunted and treats the coming pursuit like a welcome gift. His hand rises in a grand summons as he declares every approaching woman part of his domain. With manic certainty, he vows that chaos will force the hidden goddess to reveal herself. His ambition climbs higher as he sets his sights on bringing down even the goddess. His vision darkens further into a plan to reshape the entire world. Seen from behind like a fanatical prophet, he becomes the center of a brutal ideal others are ready to kill for. He smiles with calm confidence, fully expecting their loyalty to carry out his will. Far away in the capital, word spreads that even Mayor and Richelle have already been dispatched. Civilians whisper anxiously about a border monster as fear grows in the street. A lively stranger suddenly stops the women before they can continue. She asks about the rumor with a cheerful grin that cuts through the tension. The newcomer introduces herself with easy confidence, drawing attention at once. She proudly presents herself as the hero Tet-O and declares her mission to subdue the rumored monster. In the distant dark domain, a subordinate rushes in with a report before arresting demon ruler. The demon orders the report to continue, bored but listening. News of a new monster species appearing in a human town earns only cold indifference. Once told the Holy Knight and Holy Maiden were sent out, the demon's annoyance sharpens. The possibility that the target still remains sparks a flicker of real interest. Grinning with predatory curiosity, the demon decides to inspect the creature personally and judge its worth. Tet-O studies a marker in the wilderness and realizes she has reached the right place. Her face lights up as she proudly confirms the find. She stands before the church at last, certain the rumored source is right in front of her. Inside, a smiling nun describes a twisted awakening as dark shapes writhe around the sanctuary. He stands nearby in quiet control, while gratitude and dependence fill the room. Another woman presses close and begs for his attention, making the atmosphere deeply uneasy. He shuts Mare down with cold authority, reducing her distress to a servant's failure. A woman is dragged away to the back room, and obedience comes at once through fear. Turning from the scene, he coolly admits that their act is growing tiresome now that his forces are strong enough. His narrowed eye settles on a harsher plan as he suggests taking the entire town as their base. The idea hangs in the air like a final step toward open occupation. Under that stare, the church no longer feels hidden at all, only poised to spread outward. A sudden pounding at the door snaps his attention to the entrance. The cheerful intruder locks onto him at once, thrilled as if she has found her target. She boldly names herself the hero and declares she came to bring him down. He answers with flat disbelief, questioning why she sees a monster at all. With bright confidence, she raises a holy sword and treats it as undeniable proof. His mood hardens as he accepts her claim and prepares for violence. Dark limbs burst out around her as he moves to end the fight at once. She throws up a hand and urgently stops the attack. Rather than panic, she insists they move outside to keep the church from being destroyed. He studies her reaction closely, unsure whether it is strategy or simple concern. The truth settles in that she is not scheming at all, only painfully direct. He gives in with cold calm, deciding not to wreck the building either. The nun brightens in surprise as the hero casually recognizes Mare. Tet-O flashes a playful grin and tells Mare to stay back while she handles everything herself. She charges ahead eagerly, while confusion lingers over how these women know each other. Mare defends Tet-O's reputation, insisting the strange girl is still a real hero. He cuts the exchange short and orders Mare to remain where she is. Mare stiffens and obeys at once, left behind by his command. The quiet forest outside becomes the stage for the coming clash. Wrapped in confidence, he mocks her for arriving alone without support. She answers without hesitation, brimming with reckless certainty. He lunges forward and demands proof of the hero's true strength. Her shield catches the sudden assault as steel and force collide in a burst. He loses sight of her for a split second, and that opening turns dangerous at once. Her counterattack whips in from behind, forcing him to twist away under pressure. She drives in fast and hard, showing speed that catches even him off guard. Tet-O presses the advantage and hurls another fierce strike straight at him. His gaze hardens with respect as he admits this hero will not be easy to crush. He shifts tactics at once, directing his writhing limbs to keep distance and trap her. A brutal hit lands and sends her stumbling with a shocked cry. He pauses in confusion, noticing the contact caused a strange result instead of useful insight. Tet-O pants through the pain but celebrates the hit, frustrated that she still cannot read him. He suddenly closes the gap, appearing in front of her before she can react. One violent blow sends her flying and slamming headfirst into the dirt. He studies his own power with concern, realizing repeated contact still reveals nothing. Tet-O grins through sweat and strain, proud that she pushed him this far without even getting serious. He watches her rise with the sword raised, yet judges her far too weak to match her title. Her legs hang above him as he coldly concludes she is barely a threat at all. He casually suggests humiliating her and ending this mess, and her face freezes in pure alarm. As she recoils in outrage and confusion, he responds with chilling calm and makes the moment even more unsettling. The battered hero flushes in panic as she fumbles with a strange item, trying to stop what is happening. Her embarrassment spills over as she insists this has gone too far, while he watches in total confusion. The mood snaps when a distant presence throws them both off, and her attention jerks skyward. A violent force tears through the air above them, freezing both fighters in sudden alarm. He stares upward, shaken by the impossible sight taking shape over the battlefield. She feels the crushing pressure first, her face tightening as overwhelming magic bears down on them. A heavy step descends from above, carrying the weight of a terrifying arrival. The newcomer lands with calm menace, declaring she came for the rumored monster and the feeble hero alike. His eye widens as the intruder greets the chaos like a joke already tilted in her favor. The hero's bravado collapses as she realizes exactly who has appeared. The demon lord stands before them in full command, turning the forest into her stage. The hero can barely breathe as the truth settles in with raw fear. From the demon lord's shadow, both of them suddenly look small and exposed. She sizes him up with a cruel smile, disappointed by the legend yet amused by how harmless he looks. He forces a smirk, but the pressure rolling off her makes the gap between them painfully clear. The demon lord folds her arms in cold confidence, radiating power far beyond anything he has faced. Her voice rolls across the clearing, openly claiming the field as her own. The hero charges in with desperate resolve, throwing herself at the impossible threat. The demon lord mocks her isolation, treating her like a discarded fool already beat. The hero snaps back in anger, refusing to let the taunt stand. In an instant, the demon lord looms over her and crushes her spirit with contempt. A brutal strike sends the hero flipping helplessly through the air. He watches in stunned silence as her body is swatted aside like it means nothing. The hero slams into a tree and hangs there in pain, while the demon lord dismisses her as durable and little else. He asks what she failed to notice, while the demon lord calmly tears apart the hero's work. Framed beneath the demon lord, the hero stands small and stubborn as her every defeat is laid bare. Her face burns with shame when she is reduced to nothing more than a stray hero. She falters for a moment, admitting the accusation hits close to home. Then she forces herself upright and clings to her title with fierce, simple conviction. He remains cold and unimpressed, while the demon lord toys with the scene like it already belongs to her. Dark power coils around him as he vows to crush anyone who stands in his way. The demon lord steps forward with sudden ease and offers a far more dangerous idea. She proposes an alliance, leaving him visibly caught off guard. With a predator's smile, she argues that humanity already sees them both as enemies, so fighting each other is pointless. He accepts the logic, but his next question cuts straight towards something deeper. He asks for a simple answer, and her attention sharpens at once. His gaze turns serious as he presses the true issue, the goddess's blessing. The demon lord answers without hesitation, rejecting the very idea with mocking certainty. He falls quiet, absorbing her response as the tension shifts into uneasy calculation. His face hardens in thought, signaling that this answer matters more than the alliance itself. The demon lord coldly decides the weakest hero is finished and offers her power to the hunt. Bruised and trembling, the hero refuses to fall and clings to her duty with desperate resolve. She throws herself forward in a reckless charge, forcing out one last stand to protect what matters. A mocking laugh cuts through the clash as the demon lord dismisses the effort as pathetic. The hero hangs trapped and breathless, glaring back through pain and humiliation. He watches without emotion, already treating her end like a settled matter. The suggestion to kill her hangs in the open air, and the hero jolts in shock. The demon lord leans in with predatory calm, while the hero desperately begs to be released. Something in those words makes the demon lord freeze, her face twisting in sudden offense. In a blur of motion, the hero lunges from behind her, catching the demon lord off guard. The interruption sparks instant fury as the demon lord takes the hit as a personal insult. Her expression snaps into open rage, boiling over with wounded pride. The hero winces and explains through pain that the curse makes the sword's target impossible to kill outright. He immediately shifts focus and orders the blade itself destroyed. The demon lord shuts that down at once, revealing the holy sword cannot be broken by any means. Her hand moves to the hero's clothing as she coolly decides the girl's body still has another use. She pulls the shaken hero close from behind and frames the next move around creating stronger demon offspring. The hero panics and struggles in raw embarrassment while the demon lord savors her resistance. With a feral grin, the demon lord starts to announce what she plans to make of her. He cuts in from the side, bluntly reducing the idea to use monsters from a demon vessel. The demon lord confirms it without shame, claiming the skill makes it entirely possible. He answers with a quiet smile, as if a crucial piece has finally clicked into place. In the next instant, a strike flashes out and shatters the moment before anyone can react. His eyes widen as fragments and force trigger a flood of unfamiliar memories. A vision surfaces of the hero in calmer days, apologizing softly to the people around her. He stands at the center of scattered scenes from her life, piecing together who she really is. The demon lord watches him with a sharp smile, insisting she is only carrying out her role. He moves at once and tears the hero away from her grasp, breaking the hold. Holding the rescued girl, he flatly says he simply hates having his prey stolen, leaving both women stunned. The demon lord bares her teeth and demands to know what game he thinks he is playing. He faces her from across the clearing and calmly accuses her of lying. His voice hardens as he declares that only the goddess can grant roles and skills in this world. He points straight at her and concludes that the demon lord carries the goddess's blessing too. She erupts into manic laughter and proudly confirms that she is far more than a mere monster. The revelation twists his expression savage as the alliance dies, and he names her his enemy. His body shifts into a more monstrous form, and even she pauses to admire how fitting it looks. He snarls that their alliance is over and vows to crush her into submission. A heavy blow drives forward as he declares that even a monster has no right to speak so boldly. The demon lord spreads her power with fearless delight and invites him to witness the true gap between them. Both sets of eyes lock wide with murderous focus as the battlefield freezes before the next clash. His eye widens as he realizes the demon lord's power is still rising. The mounting pressure tells him even his full strength may not be enough alone. He turns to the battered hero and throws her a harsh offer of cooperation. Despite the pain, the hero instantly clings to her mission and agrees. Without looking back, he demands her support and leaves her stunned. He points to the holy sword and declares it their only path to victory. The hero protests the alliance, then admits she cannot win alone. He warns that failure will only drag her back into captivity and make her a vessel again. His cold ultimatum strips away her pride and forces her to choose survival over hatred. Standing over the fallen blade, she steels herself and chooses to fight as a hero. The two surge forward together, bound by desperation rather than trust. He flashes a savage grin and makes a dark joke that leaves her flustered. The hero recoils in red-faced shock, suddenly hearing how monstrous he sounds. Ahead of them, the demon lord waits with smug patience, amused by their small strategy talk. Her mocking gaze settles on the absurd sight of hero and monster fighting together. Wrapped in crackling menace, she calmly declares that two weaklings still mean nothing to her. Their attack closes in, and for the first time her expression flickers with surprise. She notices too late that dark tendrils are stretching from his back into the earth itself. He bursts in from the side, pressing the attack while brushing off her reaction. She sneers at the trick, convinced she has already seen through him. Then she realizes the threat is broader than expected as more tendrils surge into place. A massive pillar erupts skyward, throwing the battlefield into sudden chaos. From a distance, the demon lord watches the towering strike crash down through smoke and debris. Her grin returns at once, mildly impressed but nowhere near shaken. Crouched low, he studies her in frustration, unable to find any weakness through the crushing magic gap. A tendril scoops up the hero, catching her off guard before she can react. She flails in alarm as the grip tightens, and the humiliation only deepens her panic. The demon lord moves to intercept, only to see the girl dragged out of reach. He swings with monstrous force, but the blow still fails to break through her defense. Breathing hard, he realizes she blocks everything from him while avoiding the hero's cursed blade. The pattern clicks into place as the rules around the holy sword and the hero finally make sense. He fires off a sharp accusation, forcing the demon lord to face the truth he has seen. Her face darkens instantly, offended that he dared say the hidden point aloud. The hero sits shaken while he declares that, to the demon lord, the hero herself is the real threat. He presses harder, mocking her as a shallow monster dodging a fight she knows she cannot win. With a contemptuous smile, she insists the weakest hero is nothing to fear. He raises a hand and coldly states the answer that changes everything, making her the strongest hero instead. The hero jolts as something locks around her neck, panic flashing across her face. He orders her to stop struggling and submit, leaving her frozen in disbelief. Bound by fear and confusion, she stares ahead as his ruthless plan takes hold. The hero jerks forward in panic as an unseen force seizes control of her body. The demon lord watches her charge in and dismisses the sword as no threat. The hero swings at full speed, and the demon lord finally reacts to the unnatural rush. A sharp impact lands, and the demon lord's confidence cracks into alarm. The hero realizes too late that her movements are no longer her own. Her blade slams through the defense line as the forced assault breaks the stalemate. Steel connects, and the demon lord stares in disbelief at being struck by the weakest fighter. The hero lights up with stunned joy as she realizes she actually landed a hit. He coldly tells her to endure the discomfort as she fidgets under the strange control. Standing behind it all, he mocks the demon lord for bleeding from such a pitiful strike. With a vicious grin, he declares that this is the limit of the demon lord's power. The hero, swept up in the moment, clings to the idea that she has become the strongest. The demon lord erupts in rage, refusing to accept humiliation from lesser beings. She lashes out violently, but he tracks the attack from behind her with growing certainty. He exposes the trick with contempt, revealing that the one controlling the hero is the true target. The demon lord tries to respond by transforming, but her composure slips for the first time. He appears beside the hero and clamps onto her, boasting that his body can become anything. Ice crashes around him, yet he forces through it while the demon lord strains in frustration. He drives the hero straight at the target, forcing the final attack with ruthless momentum. The hero's blade punches through, and the demon lord's eye goes wide in pure shock. Reeling from the hit, she spits out furious contempt while her control starts to falter. In desperation, she gathers a dense sphere of violent magic and unleashes it. A colossal blast rips open the battlefield as the final attack detonates with overwhelming force.